Okay, I can go ahead. So,
Sign in, and there's a copy of the agenda here, it has last week's date.
can they present to the planning and zoning and let them kind of discuss it?
Sign in and sign
See if they
it.
come up with a recommendation. So if we can, let them know it comes to you, and if you're agreeing with it, that's fine. If you don't, you guys have the right to change it. You're the ultimate say.
And Mayor tonight.
Okay, it is 5:30, so we will begin our city council meeting. I guess we will have the invocation. So I will lead us in a word of prayer as we begin. Bow with me. Most gracious Heavenly Father, God, we thank you so much. God, we thank you for this great city that we have, Lord, that we can live here and live free, Lord, that you have allowed us to come here tonight. And Lord, I just pray that you would give us wisdom and guidance. And God, you would cover us in your grace that you have given us through Christ Jesus. And so I pray that he would be glorified here tonight, and that, God, that again, as we go through this agenda, that you would be glorified as well in our discussion. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance. If you would stand. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Item number 4, if we could have the roll call. Mrs. Jones.
Councilor Barton.
Present.
Mayor Warren is absent. Councilor Upton.
Here.
And Vice Mayor Hickman.
Here. Okay, we have a quorum, so we will begin with the consent agenda. And again, all matters listed under the consent agenda are routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. Therefore, there will not be a separate discussion of these items. However, if a discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. The item will then be placed in its proper order on the regular meeting agenda and will be considered at that time. The consent agenda is as follows: approval of minutes, regular city council meeting, January 8th, 2024. Approval of the treasurer's report. Approval of the January 2024 payroll figures for the general fund in the amount of $90,650.98. Item number 8, receipt of the January claims, City of Eufaula. Do I hear a motion?
I have a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Councilor Barton.
Yes.
Councilor Upton.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hickman.
Yes. Okay, the consent agenda passes. Item number 9, consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of Cunningham Construction pay application number 2 for Old City Hall remodel in the amount of $120,698.64.
Vice Mayor and Council, this is a routine payment for the remodel work being done at City Hall. Project is coming along very well. Inside, all the offices, new offices are framed, sheetrock's in, rough electric's in, all the plumbing's in. So it's moving right along. They've got new windows on the alleyway. We replaced some windows, and so it's coming along. We're going to be in, I think, sooner. I was hoping for May. We might be in before then, but it's going well.
Fantastic.
What Was it a slab floor? You put a slab floor back?
When we demoed everything out,
Yeah.
took it down to 4 walls, and we had to go in and pull all the old floor up. And then we did a leveling course, and, we poured basically the west half of the building. We re-poured that whole floor. The east half it was in viable shape. It's what we're gonna do is we'll go in and they'll come and sand those floors down. And then they'll come in and pour a floor leveler on it. The concrete on that side, I think they poured in the mid-80s, whenever they did the remodel then. So it wasn't in bad shape. It just needs to be leveled up a little bit.
And just for the record, because I saw some stuff that people were having questions, that front part that they took off, that wasn't originally part of the building. And so they did that to be able to move the door as well, because that again was not a part of the original building.
That's correct.
Okay.
And, part of the project was we have a different entry. Council room will be up there. If you would go in and look, you'll be surprised at the amount of space that we actually have. There'll be a drive-through window on the alley, on the east side of the building. So it'd be, I think, offer some convenience to folks. That way they don't have to come into the building every time if they don't want to and pay through a drive-through window.
Okay. And this is just a normal scheduled payment.
Yes.
All right. I make the motion to approve the payments to Cunningham Construction for the stated amount.
Counselor Barton?
Yes.
Counselor Upton?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hickman?
Yes. That motion passes. Okay, item number 10, consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement for a motion to renew the Vive broadband cable franchise agreement, quote, for an additional period not to exceed 20 years, end quote, extending the agreement to February 1st, 2044, pursuant of section 2.5 of franchise ordinance number 04-2-1 dated February 26, 2004, on the same terms and authorizing the city manager's signature on said extension agreement. Mr. Jeff?
So, it's a 20-year agreement, but it's a routine. It's not
Every year.
it's a 20-year renewal, because when you have a utility provider, whether it's electric or gas or whatever, because of their investments and the amount of the investment, it's always preferential to have a long service agreement, long term of service. That way they can recoup money on investments and whatnot. And so this is really pretty routine.
Do I hear a motion?
So I'll make a motion to approve.
I second.
Counselor Barton?
Yes.
Counselor Upton?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hickman?
Yes. That motion passes. Item number 11, consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement to approve and accept the official year 2022-2023 audit as completed by Arledge and Associates. And I think we have Mr. Kinsey. If you would.
Good evening, and my name is Kenzie Duarte. I'm a CPA and partner at Arledge. I want to thank you for the opportunity to present the results of the audit of the financial statements and year ending June 30, 2023. In our opinion, the financial statements present fairly in all voluntary respects. What that means is we have an unmodified opinion, in other words, clean opinion. Now the reason why we don't say we have an absolute opinion on having knowing for exactly how an absolute assurance of the financials is because we don't test 100% of every transaction. So our testing is performed based on analytics, on samples based, and we test based on the risk assessments that we do at the beginning of the year for planning, as well as previous years of information for the city. We put together an audit plan, and so we test samples really based on those risks, right? So it's not an absolute assurance, it's just not a 100% testing of the audit. You will not want that out. It's essentially a forensic audit that you have to pay a bunch of funds for that, right? But it is the highest level of assurance, the opinion that you are obtaining. We prepare our audit was under the auditing standards generally accepted. And within those standards, we are required to be independent of the city. And we're also required to maintain and provide our ethical responsibilities during the audit. In our report, I'm not sure if you have the report with you. There is a section that talks about the auditor of their other auditor responsibilities. And in that, we include five bullet points, which tells a little bit more what those auditor responsibilities throughout the audit were. Also, in our opinion, we make an emphasis of matter reference, and what that is making a reference to the financial statements being completed on a modified cash basis. Essentially, it is cash in, cash out, but with certain modifications that are made that I consider to be that has a significant substance for GAAP, for generally accepted accounting principles. Modified cash basis, that's how we've seen it in previous years. That's how the city has always had it. The state accepts that. There's no reason to try to get a full GAAP audit financial statement report. At that point, you would have to be implementing new pronouncements that include liabilities, as well as debt and things like that. And it just takes a lot of time and fun to try to get that. The state accepts a modified cash basis. It's perfectly fine just to have a modified cash basis report. We see that a lot of the municipalities in the state. On the report, note 1 of the report, I'm trying to find B. So note B of the disclosures for the report, and that is on page 29. There, we point out 3 bullet points of what those modifications to a modified cash basis financial statements are included, and those includes the interfunds receivables and payables, as well as assets that are normally converted to cash or cash equivalents, and liabilities for cash held on behalf of others. So those 3 bullet points are the modifications that have been made to, other than cash in, cash out, modifying the report for those items. And that's why it's a modified cash basis report.
So I understand kind of what you're mentioning as you talk about the audit. I do have a question about it though.
Sure.
On page 15, because I kind of want it to be open and clear, because I think what you led to, and when it says a financial analysis of the city's funds.
Okay, yes.
Sorry. Yes. Sorry, page 14, governmental activities. I apologize. Because can you just explain how you broke down governmental activities and business type activities?
Right. So it depends on the authority, right? It separates out how the report is completed based on what funds are being part of the governmental activities versus the business type activities, right?
And when you talk about the funds, that is also representative of some of the grants that is.
Yes, correct. Right.
Okay.
So based on those grants, they get reported in the separate fund, for example, to keep track of those funds and make sure that all the transactions are coming in and out are being kept track of. So it makes it a lot easier to create a fund for those transactions.
Okay. Because I just kind of want to point out, with this is that, when we look at our activity, it showed a decrease in those governmental activities, right?
Right.
And then in our business type activities, it showed a decrease as well. And can you just explain that? The business type activities?
Yes, so if we go to, let me see if I can find that page here.
Page 14, going hard.
Yes. On page. So page 24. On that page, we have the statements that makes the business type activities. And so it essentially falls under, the business type activities are made of the Eufaula Public Works Authority, as well as the Economic Development Authority.
Gotcha.
So the combination of the activities within those are combined, they make up the business type activity. So when we talk about business type activity, it's for those two authorities.
Gotcha.
As for the governmental activities, it includes on page 21, it will include all the general fund activity, capital improvement, FEMA fund, airport fund, and all the other funds that were not material enough to have to be sent separately. And so they're included as an aggregate fund, included all their financials.
Okay.
So business services, the two of those is what we
So with this right here, I think it's on page 16. You kind of give an overall view. Is that correct?
Yes, right. And that's actually on MD&A, the management and discussion and analysis, that comes from management. All we do on that part, as far as the audit, we make sure that it's materially ties to the financial numbers that we have. But all information, there's like an overall information for those that are reading, that they don't want to read the 50-page financial
Sure.
statements and may not, once you go through all the disclosure notes, it gives an overall view of, changes throughout the year and what the future looks like for the city as well.
And I'd like to read that because it seems like we got a good report.
Sure.
From my understanding. So it says, despite the national economic challenges, the city of Eufaula continues to see sustainable growth in sales tax, use tax, hotel motel tax, and all utility revenues. The city's continued investment in core infrastructure and promotion of tourism industry will push the community to prosper. Period. So from your expertise, I mean, it seems like we got a good report.
Yeah, there's on YouTube. And we've seen that from the past years as well. And we'll go a little bit more on the federal, since we had a single audit this year, we'll go a little bit over that, later about those, and actually was no findings for this year, except for the single audit, there's no finding actually.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Well, I'll
Yeah,
try to
go ahead.
go over and that's on the financial report. So essentially we had to do, this year we had the audit, it was divided in three sections, if you will. The audit report, and then we also have what's called a yellow book report, and that is the audit that we perform under the governmental auditing standards. And on those, as well as the single audit, and for the single audit, we have to follow uniform guidelines. Now, what is a single audit? Single audit is for expenditures that were over $750,000 for the year, then you're required to have a single audit with those. Those are federal grant money that's coming in, and once you spend $750 in that year, then you are required to have a single audit. So essentially, if you had spent $600,000, $749,000, you were not required to have one. But on page, there is a schedule of all the expenditures that were from federal grant money, and that is on page 6 of the single audit report. Not sure if it's included in there.
Okay.
It is in a separate report. So in that report, there were $956,000 of federal expenditures for the year ending in June 30, 2023. And so since it was above the $750,000 threshold, we were required to have a single audit this year.
I will say that probably in the coming years, that we had one last year, this year, we're probably looking at doing a single audit at least for the next 3 years. I'd
It's
say,
pretty common for the
yeah.
city. And very few years that I've been the city clerk treasurer have we not had a single audit.
And like Kelsey said, it's dependent upon the federal dollars you spend. So, as you get the grant money and coming in, that's what's going to trigger that.
And we're seeing that more often now these years. Some municipalities that have not had a single audit in the past, now they are because of the COVID money that came in, the ARPA money and all that, that's being, moved on to the cities. Pretty common.
That's pretty common. It's not detrimental or anything.
No,
Not
as
at all.
long as you guys, you don't have any findings, it's the same as just getting the audit.
No positive findings. Gotcha. All right, that's good.
And with that, I do have, there is a summary, on the single audit, we have a summary page where we talk about whether any deficiencies identified during the audit, both audit, the financial report, and the single audit. We did not encounter any items that were considered to be findings of the single audit. And the program that we tested, you are required to test the major programs. And the major program was the Water Smart program. That is the Sustain and Management America's Resource for Tomorrow. That is the program that we tested under the single audit. And so for that program, there were no findings or deficiencies that we identified that needed to be made.
That's fantastic.
On that report, we carry forward, we have the same under the governmental audit standards, we have the segregation of duties finding. That's a finding that's been with the city for several years now, I believe, and it's essentially it's an inherent risk. We see that a lot of municipalities, and it's mainly because of the employees and then the size of those sitting over the accounting part of the municipality. So that's a pretty usual finding to see there's no impact, no detriment over that, or as long as the board continues to be involved in the decisions and the requirements of the financial department, right? And calls. But again, we have no findings. Last year, there was a complaints finding over the major program that was tested. And so in this, at the very end of the report, the single audit, we were required to include whether those findings were corrected or their steering process to be corrected. And gives the opportunity for management to respond and see and provide a status of where that's the status of the corrective action is. So we're showing that it's actually corrected. So for this year, we're showing that finding that it was last year's report was actually corrected by management.
And I can identify that. There's a form, it's an SF 425. That's a quarterly report required as you expend the dollars.
Yep.
And, so.
This is mainly on compliance side, so like you need a report needed to be submitted, and so it was not like the numbers were all, it was not in front of them. For it, it was just mainly by compliance. On last year's.
And we had that corrected early on, so.
Yeah.
And it was definitely on our radar at the end of the last year.
And he was actually tested this year, and we have no findings on that, so it was corrected. And before I open up for any additional questions, we are also provide a required letter, management letter, and in that letter, we disclose whether there were any difficulties encountered with management or whether there were any disagreements, and we're glad to announce that we had no disagreement with management. We had no difficulties in dealing with management during our audit, and we did not have any other items that needed to be brought to your attention as far as that. And again, our team enjoyed working with Jack Jones, the city manager, and Valerie as well. So our team really enjoyed working with them again this year, and we look forward to next year.
Fantastic. So there are no significant findings?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I don't have any other questions.
I don't have no questions.
Thank you, Mr. Kinsman. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
A second?
Counselor Barton,
Yes.
Counselor Upton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hickman.
Yes. Okay. That motion passes. So item number 12, consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of appointment to fill the open Ward 1 City Council seat. Mr. Jeff?
Okay, so we, with Mr. Cummins' resignation to move to the police department, we have an open seat in Ward 1. We've not been able to secure someone interested in filling that seat at this point. Mr. Cummins' resignation was given on January 20th. So we actually have, take that back, December 20th, and we have till February 20th to appoint, fill that spot. Once we reach the 20th of February, then it's going to require an election to fill that spot. So we put that in paper, but have not received any input yet if someone was interested or not interested.
Yep. This is Ward 1, right?
That's correct.
What is the boundaries on that?
Okay.
And,
Okay, so the boundaries start at the railroad tracks, at Foley and the railroad tracks. And it works south down along the railroad tracks, up Foley to 2nd Street, over to Grand, and then up Grand through, basically across the 69 highway. It takes in Lumbee, that's the south one. It takes in Lumbee, and then everything south. Locust, High, Forest, Woodland, all the way down to Lakeland, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, in that area. So it's a fairly large area, and but at least to date, we haven't had anyone that's expressed any interest in it.
So we would have to have another meeting by February 20th to make the decision.
We don't, okay, so if we appoint, if we do an appointment,
Or election.
well, we don't have to call for the election until the March meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a window of time there. The March meeting would set up a June, would set up a June 18th election day with filing beginning and ending, beginning April 3rd, ending April 5th for filing.
And the election date is when?
June 18th. So,
what does that cost the city, $9,000 or $10,000?
no, I think it was 30, the last time was 35, 37.
If you're on a ballot by yourself, it's a lot more expensive. If you're piggybacking on one of the counties, it's about $1,000.
But the last time we went through this with Ward 4, I think it was if we went on our own, it was 37 and change.
Well, I'm more than two. I just now realized that Lumpy, in the house there, it's not in my ward. I always thought it was my ward, but it's not.
Yeah.
In Ward.
And so so basically where we're at from a council standpoint is we have till the 20th to do an appointment. Now, if we don't have an appointment by the 20th, then it pushes you to call for a special election. And we've got a 75-day window of time when you back away from the June 18th election date. So as long as we take care of our business and call for the election at the March meeting, then we'll be fine.
They have to live within the boundaries.
6 months. They have to be a registered voter and live for 6 months and live within that boundary.
So Monday is a legal holiday. If we called a special meeting for the 20th, Valerie, we'd have to set the agenda and post it on 15th? Yes.
On Thursday.
Yes, it has to be done on a Thursday because it'll be a special meeting. or 48
Because
hours.
Monday's a legal
Monday's a
holiday and then you
holiday.
can't Saturday or Sunday. So if anyone pops up, Valerie and Jeb and I have to craft a special agenda and post it on Thursday.
By 5 o'clock.
Yes, I haven't heard anybody that's interested, which it's kind of sad, you know, you want people to step up and,
I've talked to a couple of people that are not interested.
yeah.
Well, I think when things are not going well, everyone wants to file, but if government is running smoothly,
Yeah.
then they're not that concerned. So I take that as a good sign that the people are not unhappy or they'd be rushing to file and campaign to do better. But, Bill,
We need to,
no, just we're failing to have an interest.
say, because I mean, we're not, know the item of,
Right,
Yeah.
there's just no one to confirm with a motion to appoint.
postpone.
We don't know.
Yeah.
We can.
So, yeah. What would your
Just,
recommendation?
A motion to take no action for
Okay.
lack of having come forward.
Make the motion that we take no action on item number 12 due to a lack of,
Counselor Barton,
Yes.
Counselor.
Yes.
Just remember, the 15th, we would have to know, I would say by 1 o'clock.
okay. So, 13. Adoption. In Ward 1 council seat or approve a resolution calling for election for the Ward 1 council. So I would, is this also a no action?
Well, you could right now set a special meeting if you
For the
wanted between now and the 20th. If you want to try one last time, hoping someone had come.
Well, of course. I always have hope that someone would come forth.
But we have no paperwork submitted.
That's the problem.
That would have on that. 15th and like. Remember that. When does tell our reps that I can help them
Is it- we-
post a special agenda meeting that we would have to have no later than the 20th.
I don't want to, I mean, my thought on that is I don't want to just set a meeting and not have anybody in mind. So I would say to take no action until that time. So that way, at least by that time, we would know someone would. So I make the motion to take no action on item number 13.
I second.
Counselor Barton,
Yes.
Counselor Upton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hickman.
Yes. Okay. Remarks and inquiries by city council?
I don't have anything.
I did I've talked to several people and several people are really excited about the, we didn't level it and make it a parking lot, so we kept it. So, really excited about that. So that's all I have. Mr. Chairman.
I have nothing. I kind of went through
Okay.
some of the different things.
And I also like to hear that, we did a very good job on our, so I think that goes out to a big shout for our city, so. Yes. Moving on to our follow-up Public Works Authority. Do I hear? Thank you. Roll.
Council Burton. Mayor Moore. Mayor Hickman.
Okay, the consent agenda. Again, matters listed under the consent agenda are routine by the Public Works Authority and will be enacted by one motion. Therefore, there will not be a separate discussion of these items. However, if a discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. The item in the regular meeting agenda is considered at that time. So item number 2, approval of minutes, the regular meeting for January 8th, 2024. Approval of the January 2024 payroll figure for the Eufaula Public Works Authority in the amount of $41,337.73. Receipt of January claims, Eufaula Public Works Authority. Do I hear a motion? I second.
Council Burton.
Yes.
Councilor Upton.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hickman.
Yes. Okay, the consent agenda passes. The items removed from the consent agenda. Item number 5, consideration of adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postpone pay application number 10 from Lone Hickory Cattle LLC for the CWSRF sewer project in the amount of $87,701.57.
Just our routine, pay application for the sewer work that's being done. Lone Hickory's traveled down 4th Street. They've made it to 4th and Sunset. Also had done some work at 4th and Grand, 4th and Foley. So we just continue to move on. And we apologize for the inconvenience of what's going on, but it's just part of it. We have to dig a hole and it's messed up some of the streets, but we'll get them back in shape where they
They're
need to
starting
be.
to repair some of them,
Yeah.
especially on Locust.
Yes. So, but anyway, they're doing a good job and, you're dealing with a sewer system that's 100 years old. And we had one particular block, one section of line in between Locust and Grand, where in the past, we had done some work there on a sewer, and we actually had a truck fall through the road. And we had to pull it out a year and a half ago, something like that, 2 years ago. And they were doing their work when they were going in that same block, and they had a truck fall through. And that's just the condition of that old sewer line, and it was allowing water to infiltrate into the sewer, which carries the dirt with it, and you end up with a cavity under a street. And so it's a perfect example
They,
of why
they
we're doing.
pulled up to have an old sewer tank or something, it's brick.
Yeah.
It's brick.
Yeah. It's not an easy job, and again, it inconveniences a lot of people, but it's just part of the process.
It's part of the infrastructure.
That's
You gotta
correct.
have it.
That's correct.
You don't. You're no.
That's right.
Okay. I'll make the motion to approve.
I second.
Council Burton.
Yes.
Councilor Upton.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hickman.
Yes. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
Council Burton.